Hello, everyone. Thank you for joining today's webinar, Stayntouch Product Enhancements, version 5.79, all new notes and actions, no more discrepant rooms, and more, presented by Stayntouch Implementation Consultant, Julia Josephson. I'm your host, Erin Fisher, the content writer here at Stayntouch. Today's presentation will cover how you can get the most out of the Stayntouch PMS version 5.79 product release. In this webinar, we will cover the following enhancements: all new notes and actions, no more discrepant rooms, do not disturb filters added, guest and house by nationality report now has 2 options, sort room diary unassigned rooms by day use and nightly reservations, out of inventory room status for hourly reservations, remove credit card from house or group account, rate setup, which is the extra adult and child maximum amount threshold, multi-rate reservations with add-ons and allowances, posted charges included in guest pay balance, feature toggle to enable CVV or CVC number capture for credit card payment, reservation with promo code amended, duplicate credit cards removed from the guest wallet, refund a guest, account card added to reservation when access code is present, windsurfer integration, shoulder dates added to block messages, and finally, the enhancement to connect APIs in which restrictions array is included in the response. We'll have a short Q&A session at the end of the presentation. Feel free to submit questions throughout the presentation, and we will answer them in the order they're received at the end. And that's all I have right now. Julia, I'm going to hand it over to you.
Thank you. Can you see my screen?
Yep.
Okay, great. Thank you all for joining us. We first up have a pretty significant enhancement to notes and actions that we're going to start piloting now, and then we'll roll out to all hotels in the near future. So for most of you, this is a preview of the feature that will be enabled soon for your property. I know that it's going to excite a lot of users, and as a longtime user myself, I'm over the moon about it. We've redesigned the way notes and actions display on the stay card. I'm going to pull up one here. It's going to make them easier to display. It makes them more visible to the user and eliminates the need to click on the respective section to view the details of the notes or actions like you currently or used to have to do. This will significantly reduce the chance of a user ignoring or missing the notes. We've also added an alerts functionality to the notes, which will allow users to make certain notes more prominent at the top of the stay card and allow for users to be prompted to resolve them. Again, this is in pilot phase, but we intend to enable it for more hotels soon, so we're going to show it to you now. If it's something you're interested in, you can open a support ticket, and we will make sure you're prioritized for getting it turned on. So again, I've got the stay card up here now, and you can see that now there is a notes section and an action section on the left-hand side of the stay card. Previously, this was confirmation details. These sections display either a shorter entry in full, like this one, or a longer entry. It displays a 3-line preview, which in my experience was showing about 130 characters, give or take, depending on the glyph size. You can click on an individual note or action to make a change to it or view it in full. So I click on it and it opens right up. There's also this orange manage option to the right-hand side of each of these sections, where you can manage notes and actions as per existing functionality. There is no change to the actions pop-up window. You can see it looks exactly the same as you're used to. If I click on the Manage Notes section, it does look a little bit different. We've made some minor updates to the layout in order to make adding a note more intuitive and the information a little bit more clear. So you can add a note via the green button at the top that says New Note. And then when clicking into an existing note, you can delete it via the button in the top right corner. You can edit it or save the note, and you can also mark a note as an alert. I'm going to mark this one as an alert and save my changes. When I save my changes or exit out, you'll see that takes me right back to the notes pop-up. There's also a little red trash can icon that you can delete the note without clicking into it. You cannot delete or edit group or shared notes. The manage note pop-up also, I think, a little bit more clearly indicates for each entry the last activity to it. So it's who created the note and when, or who updated it. For example, you can see that here, updated. And I think it looks a little bit more sleek than it used to. It used to have the little like user icon and then say the name. We've eliminated that user icon to show you more information. And then, as I mentioned before, notes can now be marked as an alert. I marked this one as an alert just now. Marking a note as an alert makes it appear at the top of the Manage Notes pop-up, as well as at the top of the center of the stay card. Users will see it more prominently when they're entering the stay card if the alert is not resolved. And then they can also mark the alert note as resolved from the alerts banner in the center here, or even from the Manage Notes pop-up. When I mark an alert as resolved, you'll see that it is listed as resolved. It says who resolved it and when. And alerts that have been resolved can be unresolved by clicking on the checkbox, which again records who did that and when. So it says reopened instead of resolved. Updates to alert notes will be recorded to the activity log on the stay card, similar to notes and actions. So you'll see any creation of the note. It created the note, created the alert. I closed the alert and I reopened that alert. You all saw me do that just now. And then I'm going to show you in another hotel where I have files enabled. Files is an existing functionality that you can enable, and if you have it enabled, your note section will say notes and files instead of just notes. You also see the file previews here, and then when I click on the Manage Notes pop-up, I have the toggle over to the Files section, where I can, of course, view, edit, delete, replace any files, upload new ones, etc. And lastly, I want to mention, if you've resolved all the alerts on a reservation, for example, I have resolved all the alerts on this one. When you enter the stay card, the alerts banner appears at the top. However, it's collapsed. There's no current alert that needs to be viewed. But as you know, in Stayntouch PMS, an orange chevron means you can expand down and get more information. So if I click anywhere on this alerts banner, you can see that I can see the details of the resolved alert or alerts. All right, and then when I manage actions, I get that same pop-up window. Again, it's exactly the same as it was before. I can add a new action, I can edit an existing action, complete it, or delete it. Actions that are due on the current business date, like this one, appear in orange, along with the time that it's due today. Overdue actions that were due yesterday or before will appear in red, like this one, along with the number of days overdue. So in this example, this action was due yesterday. And it's saying it's overdue because it wasn't marked as completed. Since we've moved the notes and actions to this left-hand side of the stay card, again, before it was kind of in the center here where they had you had the actions button and the notes button. It's taken the place of that old section, which was showing you the confirmation numbers of current, historical, and future reservations. We've moved that here now to a drop down. I think you're gonna like this a lot. So if I want to view the guest's various reservations, I click on this drop down that says confirmation number, and I can see all of their current, upcoming, and historical reservations. As you could before, I can click on the reservation and it will take me to that reservation stay card. The thing I like about this that's an enhancement is that it adds the date range. And all reservations will display with the corresponding reservation status icon and color. Once you're done looking at this, you can collapse the dropdown just by clicking on confirmation number at the top again, and you can see that now I'm viewing the notes and action section again. Again, this functionality is in pilot, but we're very excited about it and know a lot of you will be too. We have a few more enhancements in store for this functionality that are going to be great as well, so keep an eye out for those coming soon in the release notes and in future webinars. The next enhancement is another big one that a lot of hotels have been waiting for regarding discrepant rooms, which occur when reservations are checked out after the room is cleaned. Previously, if the guest left the hotel without stopping by the front desk first or completing the mobile checkout, so you still had them checked into the system, but the housekeeper went into the room, it was vacant, and they cleaned it and they marked it as clean or inspected, and again, the guest wasn't checked out of the system, the room would revert back to dirty when the guest was finally checked out of the system, and it would need to be manually updated back to clean or inspected. That is still the default functionality. And if not, if you don't enable this new feature, there's no change to the checkout flow. But we now have an option that you can enable under Settings in the Rooms section on the left-hand side, and then under Housekeeping. This new feature is called Show Clean / Inspected Status at Checkout. If I want to enable this, I select it and save changes. As you could see, when I previously had Enable Room Status Update at Checkout enabled, and when I enabled this, it automatically deselected that, meaning it disabled that, and that's because this kind of replaces that functionality. Another note is that if you have the setting under Hotel and Staff and Settings and Parameters, if you have this setting enabled, Deactivate Housekeeping Room Change, you will not be able to enable this new feature. So now that it's enabled, let's take a look at what happens when we go to check out a reservation where the room has already been marked clean as inspected. I have these two reservations that are checking out today. I marked one as clean and one inspected. So when I go to check them out, I follow the normal process. And now I get this pop-up. This is the new part. And it's showing me the room number. And it's indicating that the room was last cleaned 1 hour ago and by whom. It also will allow you to say if you want to set it as dirty as per the existing functionality. That would mean that there's no change to the checkout flow if I just click go to dashboard or stay on guest bill. But if I toggle this over to keep clean and then hit go to dashboard or stay on guest bill, the housekeeping status will not be changed as part of the checkout flow, meaning it won't overwrite the most recent changes by housekeeping. And I'll check out the other one here. That one was clean. This one is going to be inspected. Again, I'm going to select keep inspected. You can see it was inspected 1 hour and 1 minute ago by Julia Josephson. I'm going to keep it inspected. And we'll check out one more. We're going to keep it as dirty so that you can, or not keep it as dirty. It's going to change to dirty. Set dirty. So now if I look at the housekeeping room status page, you can see room 130 is still clean because I kept it clean. 132 is inspected because I kept it inspected. But 134, I left the toggle on set to dirty, so it stayed, it moved to dirty status. And now if this was truly clean, I would need to manually update that. All right, the next feature we have is actually on the room status page 2, so we'll stay here. When you have the do not disturb functionality enabled, which you already could enable in the back end, we now have added filters that are show do not disturb and exclude do not disturb. You can only select one of these at a time because they're, they're opposites. But if I select show do not disturb and hit apply, I'm getting just a list of the rooms that my housekeepers have marked as do not disturb. I can of course print or save this as a PDF if I wish to per the existing functionality. Previously, the guests in-house nationality report only had the guest country of residence on it. We've added a new filter here or new parameter on the right-hand side called show, and country of residence is still the default. So if you leave it as is and run it, it will look the same as you're used to. But now if you click show and select country of nationality, it will show nationality data instead of country of residence data. This applies to the reports inbox, the PDF and CSV versions of this report. I ran it a little bit earlier, so we don't have to wait for that one to be done. And you can see here, this is country of nationality data, not country of residence. The next enhancement, actually the next two enhancements are related to hourly hotels or hotels that use the hourly or day use functionality. I'm gonna come over here to one that does. This is the room diary. And when you're looking at unassigned reservations now, the day use rooms will appear separately from the nightly reservations. And that's when I'm on the D or day use style room diary. If I toggle over to nightly, you'll see that the nightly ones appear and then the day use is below that. That's specifically for unassigned reservations. The next enhancement to hourly reservations is building off of functionality we released recently, the out of inventory functionality. So if I have a room that is going out of inventory or needs to be disabled permanently for a period of time, I can now use the out of inventory service status. So when I go to put the room out of order, out of service, if this is enabled by support, I have the out of inventory status. If you're not familiar with this, go back and look at the release notes that fully explain the functionality. It does take it truly out of inventory and will affect your occupancy and RevPAR calculation. So it's really important that you're not using this incorrectly. And with hourly hotels, you have the ability to put it out of inventory for hourly periods as well. All right. The next enhancement, I'm not sure if everyone saw, if you didn't see, there was an enhancement where we now can store credit cards on groups or house accounts. And I've got this group here, and I've got 2 credit cards on file. If I click on the payment method here on the right-hand side and toggle over to manual, you can see that I now have this red X. This is the enhancement where you can now delete a credit card here. As a note, if the credit card is linked to a bill within the account, the card cannot be removed. Only cards linked to a house or group account but not linked to a bill can be removed. Since I am not using this card on any bill in this account, I can delete it. So I'll click the red X and that removes it. When a credit card is removed from a house or group account, it will be recorded on the activity log for that account. You can see that here, remove credit card. And credit cards that are removed from a house or group account will not truly delete the credit card, but simply unassociate it from the house or group account so that you are not prompted to use it for future payments. The next enhancement is another good one to the rate setup. And we had existing functionality that when you're going into settings and rates, and you pull up an existing rate code, we already had functionality where on the base rate, you could set an extra adult, child, and minimum amount threshold. This was used when you were discounting rates, deriving from a base rate and making it discounted, that it wouldn't discount your extra adult or child amount. We've now added a maximum amount, which will allow you to derive rates with a plus rather than a minus, and that will not increase the extra adult and child amount. This is pretty impactful for packages. Obviously, when you're discounting, maybe making a AAA rate, this comes into effect. But when you're adding fun, when you're saying I want to base it on bar plus $50 to cover the cost of this add-on, that's part of the package. That's where you didn't want the extra child and adult amount to increase. So we've set that here for you now. If I add that here, I just want to make sure I hit save so that it applies. And then it will apply to any future, any other derived reservations. Speaking of packages, add-ons and allowances, we now have support for multi-rate reservations with varying add-ons and allowances. We already had support for multiple rate reservations, but if you take a look at this reservation, I have already, I've already set it up to have multiple rates. I have it on bar, or best available rate, the first 4 nights, which, where just the resort fee is applicable. But then I have a dinner package rate for the following 2 nights, where it's adding a dinner package allowance. And then I have a discounted parking package as the rate selected for the final night. And when I click on add-ons now, you can see that it's telling you specifically when the add-ons are going to be charged. Or it's not, for a resort fee, it's pulling those out and separating them. But then here it's, and that's because it's different add-ons. But the dinner package allowance here, it's only adding it for 2 people for 2 nights. So it's 4 people instead of all of the nights. This works, again, for both regular add-ons and allowance add-ons with varying posting schedules like nightly, consume next day, last night, weekly. And the add-ons will be posted correctly for the respective nights, and allowances will be loaded correctly for the respective nights. When there are posted charges, and so let me start over. When the no deposit request on reservations with routed charge checkbox is not selected in settings, rates, rules and restrictions, and then deposit requests. So if no deposit request on reservations with routed charge is not selected and it's attached to a rate code, if a balance is due at check-in, the deposit rule will be prompting you to take payment for the amount owed on the reservation, as well as any already posted charges that are on the guest to pay balance on the stay card. That includes the primary guest bill and accompanying guests. I went in and did this earlier for you. Yes, so you can see I'm getting prompted to take deposits here. And I posted wine already. And so any deposit request or deposit amount is taking into account that wine, and the guest to pay amount is reflecting that too. Payments and posted charges on bills where the entity is a company or a travel agent, for example, if there's a virtual card on a reservation, will not be considered for the calculation of paid deposits or deposits due per the existing functionality. The next one I cannot necessarily show you, but I can explain that as you know, Stayntouch offers many different payment processing options, and some of our existing payment processors require a CVV or CVC code with every credit card entry for security purposes. But Shift4 is one of those that does not require it by default. Now hotels using Shift4 that wish to capture the CVV or CVC number as a mandatory field from when entering a credit card can now choose to have a feature toggle enabled on the back end that we would enable for you that would require that field to enhance your credit card security for your guests. If you're interested in this, you can contact customer support to have it enabled. The next enhancement is only relevant for hotels using our built-in promotions functionality. I've got a reservation here, and I booked this on best available rate, which my best available rate was going for $350, but I applied a spring promo code, which was set to be active through March 31st. So it applied a 20% discount as per my promotion setup. Again, the going rate was $350, and it discounted it to $280 because it took 20% off. This enhancement makes it so that if you modify or change your reservation, and if one or more of the dates fall outside of the promotion is no longer considered valid. And or if the rate is changed, the promotion will no longer be valid. So again, it was valid here for these dates. My promotion is set to end on the 31st. So it's applicable for this reservation. But if I try to extend my reservation into April, where the promotion is no longer valid, you can see my rate is going to increase to $350 for every single night, including those first couple of nights that were applicable on the promotion. So now my promo rate of $280 for these 2 nights is no longer applied. The next enhancement is to the guest card wallet. When a credit card is saved on the wallet, you can see it here. And if I go to add another card and it happens to be the same exact card, which I'll do here. If I go to add that card, and again, if it's the exact same card, it doesn't appear as a duplicate entry anymore. Previously it did. You can see on the activity log that I added another card, but again, you're not seeing the second entry here because it's just sort of overridden the original one. All right. Previously, if users wanted to refund a guest, they would go to, let's do this here. They would hit the pay button and they would put a negative amount. We've set up a new functionality, and I'm going to take a credit card payment here quickly. Actually, I took a credit card payment yesterday. Let me see if I can pull that one up. Okay, yeah, here we go. So I took this credit card payment here. So if we, for example, maybe we adjust something or, take something off. This is not a great example because this one doesn't have a room charge posted. Actually, let me just post a room charge so that I can adjust it. Or never mind, let me just take off $50 with plus tax. Okay, so now I owe this guest a refund, right? My guest balance is now negative $56.09, and I owe this guest a refund. Now, rather than clicking the pay button and entering an amount with a minus sign in front, we have this functionality where you can click on the original credit card payment and press refund. And you can only refund up to the amount that you took on that card. And you want to make sure that the amount matches what you owe, or you need to update it. So in this case, I owe the guest $56.09. I can see that right here. So I'm updating my refund amount to $56.09, and then I'm going to hit the blue refund button. Before issuing a refund, again, you should review all open bills, all open balances, and make sure that none of the bills have any other pending corrections that might affect the refund amount. That is that. That should make refunds more secure and also help you avoid refunding to the wrong payment method. The final 3 enhancements for this release, thank you. I know I've been presenting now for about 30 minutes, so I appreciate your patience. We're almost done. The final 3 are ones that I can't show you, so I'll just explain them. They're all related to integrations. The first is an enhancement to APIs where we now support attaching a travel agent or company card to reservations where access codes are present with the respective contract rates. So when the post message contains access code, the primary account associated with the access code is automatically attached to the reservation. When a put reservations ID API message contains access code, the same thing will happen. And if a travel agent or company card is already present on a reservation, the card is overridden with the new company card along with any routing or rate information. This is really exciting for those of you who are using our Stayntouch IBE, because this API enhancement means that soon we'll be able to enhance the IBE to support access codes for contracted rates. So keep an eye out for that future enhancement. The next enhancement is to specifically the Windsurfer integration for group blocks. For hotels that are using the Windsurfer integration, you can now add block shoulder dates to the block in Stayntouch, and we will now send those messages to Windsurfer, and guests will be able to book shoulder dates on the Windsurfer booking engine as part of the group block. And that's the case if you create the block with shoulder dates. If you add them after the block has already been created, we'll send that in the modification message to Windsurfer. And then if shoulder dates are removed, we will not send a message in the modify block message. They will not be removed in Windsurfer. Then the last is to connect APIs. Restrictions arrays are now included in the response. All API endpoints now include restrictions that are attached to a rate code in the configuration. That includes get rates ID and get rates ID rates. If there's no value, the restriction type will not be displayed in the response. That wraps up my demonstration of these new features for you. I know there were some big ones. I'll hand it back to Erin for those of you who have any questions and to wrap up.
Awesome, thank you, Julia. Let me go ahead and share my screen. All right, before we go through the review, I want to take some time to answer any questions anyone may have. Remember, you can submit questions through the question box in the middle of the control panel. So I'm seeing one question from William about the notes and actions functionality. How do we activate this for our property? So this is in pilot phase right now. If you're interested in piloting it, you can reach out to our customer support team on our knowledge base. But yeah, this is just in pilot for now. I don't see any other questions, so I'll give everyone a few seconds to enter those. All right, since there are no other questions, I'd like to show the floor to offer some final thoughts. So today we reviewed the following enhancements: the update to stay card notes and actions, no more discrepant rooms, do not disturb filters added, guest in house by nationality report now has 2 options, sort the room diary by unassigned rooms by day use or nightly reservations, out of inventory room status for hourly reservations, remove credit card from a house or group account, the extra adult and child maximum amount threshold and rate setup, multi-rate reservations with add-ons and allowances, posted charges included in guest to pay balance, the feature toggle to enable CVV or CVC number capture for credit card payment, reservations with promo code amended, duplicate credit cards removed from the guest card wallet, how to refund a guest, the account card added to the reservation when access code is present, shoulder dates added to block messages for the Windsurfer integration, and restrictions array included in response for our Connect APIs. With that, I'd like to conclude our presentation. Thank you all for coming, and if you have any additional questions, feel free to email me at erin.fisher@stayntouch.com. Thanks again.